So this is Sharon Karraker Driskell, and this interview is about her memories of Sanford Grammar, which she attended for the 5th and 6th grade?
5th and 6th grade, right.
Around the year 1954, 1955?
Right.
Okay.
Well, actually it was 53, 54 combination, and then 55, 54, 55
Okay.
in the 6th grade.
And you were born in Kansas.
Right.
And today is October the 12th, 2012, and we're at Sharon's home. My name is Daniel Velasquez. Okay. So, Sharon, can you tell me about yourself, your childhood, and your background?
Well, my background comes that I came from a farm in Kansas, and we moved to Florida because my father just couldn't make it on the farm. We came down here, settled in Sanford, started school at Southside, went to Sanford Grammar School. I went to Sanford Middle School and Seminole High School, first graduating class from the school, what they call the new school now. But I am a housewife. I worked in the Seminole County school system at Keith Elementary, Winter Springs-Idlewild. My husband was a fireman at the Kennedy Space Center, and we raised 2 children here.
Okay. And what were your experiences prior to coming to Sanford Grammar?
Prior to coming to Sanford Grammar, I went to Southside.
Okay.
So I lived very close to there, actually basically 2 blocks away from there. And I would walk to school. So when I got to go to Sanford Grammar, I thought I was really doing good because I was getting to walk a little farther away from Mom and Dad. So it was really exciting for me to walk to school.
So you grew up mostly in Sanford?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived off of Celery Avenue. My father owned a business at the corner of Sanford and Celery. It was a Standard Oil station. And I lived just across the street from there. And then we moved down on Randolph Street, which was way on farther south from there. And I grew up in Sanford, worked at McCrory's Dime Store downtown Sanford when I was a teenager. I mean, Sanford's just home, and I love it. I've always loved it.
Okay. Can you describe what your typical day at Sanford Grammar was like?
That's a lot of years back. You're asking almost the impossibility. I remember, the one thing that I did remember was the teacher that I had there. Her name was Miss Sharon. And I thought it was so odd that her name was my name. And it just was, she was a very nice lady, a very young teacher. We didn't have a lunchroom per se like they have today where food was served to you that I remember, because my mother always packed my lunch and I carried it with me. And picky eater, I guess. I don't remember that much back. But I remembered the programs that we had in the auditorium upstairs. I had the first room that I was in was downstairs, and then the next year I got to go upstairs to the first room on the left-hand side up there, and I thought that was really, really cool because I'd never been in a school that had an upstairs before, and this was very awesome to me to be able to be into a big school, because the school I went to in Kansas was a 1-room schoolhouse, 1st through 8th grade. And so that was really weird to come down here to Florida and be able to go to a school that had separate rooms for separate grades, and then to be able to go to Sanford Grammar and be able to go upstairs. That just was neat for me. But it was just a typical day at school. I mean, you get there, you do the Pledge of Allegiance, you did class prayers then, and you did your work, you went to lunch, you got to go to PE outside. The playground was out in front of the school. You crossed there was never a road there, but it was like a street in front of which is there now. And you would go out to the front was your playground. The lunchroom was in the back, and it was just a wooden building that was built there. You went out and eat lunch out there. I mean, just a typical school day, except for when we got into 6th grade. Yeah, we had to do the maypole. That was awful. I didn't really care for doing the maypole. You had to dance in, and I was not a small girl. I was on the large sides, and skipping in to do the maypole was not my thing. And the boy I was with was a little on the chunky side too, so we really didn't make a good pair to go skipping in to do a maypole. But I survived it. That was probably the most horrifying experience I ever had at Sanford Grammar. Other than that, it was pretty good. I didn't have a problem with going there.
The maypole was a dance then?
It was a dance. They had a large pole, and you had the ribbons that came out from it. And as you danced around it, you went in and out. I don't think they do it at all anymore. I don't know. But you would go in and out, and as you did it, you were wrapping the maypole in the way that you folded the ribbons. And you had to learn to go in and out at the right time to make the ribbons come out smooth. Because if you did it wrong, and Lord knows we did it wrong a lot, because it took forever to get it down smooth, but when you got through, you would have a pole that the ribbons would be wound perfectly like weaving, and they would lay just as flat up against that pole as you could. It was beautiful, and it was done to music, and it was beautiful, but it was hard. And it was the worst experience I think I ever did, because I didn't want to do it, and I couldn't get out of it, but two, it was just very hard to do. And once you learned it, it was easy then, like anything else that you learned today. But it was fun. I mean, after it was over with, it was fun, but not when doing it.
Okay. So what was the happy part? What was the happiest part of each day in school?
My teachers.
Yeah.
I had really some of the best teachers my whole experience in Seminole County. I'm one of the few kids, I think, that I only had one teacher that I ever remember having a problem with, and that was in late high school. But my teachers, Miss Sharon, she sticks in my mind more than anybody, because she was so gentle and so easy to come up to you and explain things to you and draw the good part of you out. The teachers were wonderful. It was just a very good experience there. Very good experience.
Do you know if Miss Sharon?
I don't know whatever happened to
Okay.
her. I would love to have known what happened to her. She was a beautiful person.
What kind of things did you do for fun in school?
In school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't do anything to get in trouble, I know that. But we did a lot of artwork. We had an art teacher, and we did a lot of artwork, in which that really was the one thing that I did enjoy, because I later in life painted pictures and did a lot of crafts and had my own business for a while in Crafty Partners. And so just doing crafts was the art classes was my biggest thing that I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed making things. I still do. But school was school, like any other kid would say. You still had the reading and writing and arithmetic, but they teach it so much different back then than they teach it today, because I can't understand any of these things that the young people try to teach you today. I mean, I'm lost. But we had basic reading, basic math, basic spelling, and the teachers went out of their way to make sure that it went in and stayed. And to me, I think that's lost, and we need to go back to that, to the basics.
Okay. What are some of your most memorable experiences?
The good ones?
Any.
Oh, honey, I've been trying to think of that for days, ever since you called me. And, it's when you go back that far, it's hard to pull up what was some of the good experiences. One thing that I always enjoyed was, of course, PE. Like anybody else, I got out with my friends and got to play. But they had this round, I don't even know what it was called, but it was round. You'd jump on it and people would push you, and you just keep going around, which I dearly loved. And I would spend all my PE time right there as long as I could get away with it. But of course, they would make you play baseball and all this other little games, things, But that was my favorite thing. When I got outside, I had right for that little. It's like a tilt-a-whirl. But it would just go round and round, and I would just love to sit on that thing and go. And it was fun. That was my favorite enjoyment. Of course, we had swings and teeter-totters and all these things that a lot of them were built by parents that put them out there, and businesses that would donate to the school. But we just had a nice playground, and I enjoyed that. Of course, your studies are studies. So, enjoyable memories. It's just hard to remember back that far, to remember what you enjoyed. Being with my friends, playing.
Speaking of your friends, do you keep in touch with any of them?
Yeah, I do. Matter of fact, Bonnie Haskins Brown is one of my closest friends. She lives in North Florida. I stay in touch with her. Of course, some of my friends have died. I used to be the head of taking care of the class reunions for Seminole High School, my class of 61, until I got where I couldn't take care of that anymore. But yeah, I stay in touch with a lot of them on Facebook, a lot of them on email, and some of them just call them. Just call them. But yeah, I stay in touch with a lot of them. The only person, I would like to know what happened was Jim Jimenez, and he's the young man that danced with me on the maypole. I don't know where he went or what happened to him, but I would like to know where he went. That would be neat to find out. But yeah, I stay in touch with all of them. Going to school that long with them, you kind of develop that bond that you stay together, especially when you start out second, third, fourth, fifth, up all the way to graduation. It stays with you. I mean, I've been out of school 51 years. A long time. A long time.
So most of these friends you had throughout Sanford Grammar and beyond?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've stayed. I've kept, Bonnie and I have been friends for 54, 55 years. And our kids grew up together. It was a lifetime friendship with her. And then I had another friend that passed away, but we stayed together for over 50 years. Back then you built a relationship and you kept it. Not so much like they do today. Not so much like my children, they don't have contact with the kids they graduated with. But back then, smaller groups, close into town. Most of all the kids lived right in town and in Sanford, and most of us walked to school. And that because you see each other walking to school, you'd see each other walking home, you lived in the close neighborhoods, you developed a deeper friendship than where the kids of today do, where they get on a bus or the car or whatever and go away. But we spent time going to school together and coming home from school together, so we were together most of our life. So you don't lose those kind of friends. You keep them. At least I did.
What was your favorite place in the school building?
Favorite place in the school building?
Is there a place that stands out to you?
Yeah, the auditorium always did, and I don't know why. Of course, we did our class programs and stuff like every other school would do, but it was so big. And I think that was because I had never been in a place that big. I grew up in the farm and walked to school, to the one-room school, and this was such a big place to me. I was a little girl. It was just, everything about Sanford was big. I came from the country and a little town that probably had 150 people in it to this big town, to this big school. It was just fascinating to me. I liked the auditorium. Of course, I loved the playground. And anybody loved lunch. You always look forward to going to lunch. But the auditorium was my favorite place. I loved going up the stairs. It's such a weird thing to think about, going upstairs. I lived in a 2-story house on the farm, but it wasn't big like this. And this was big, and it was fascinating to go upstairs. Stupid, I know, but that's just the way I feel about it.
So what were the other students like?
Like me. Common. There was no upper class, lower class. All that changed when you got into high school, but when you went to school at the Southside and Sanford Grammar and the middle school, they were all like. Nobody I tried to impress anybody. We were just all common, average kids. Of course, when you get into high school, that's when their personalities start changing and you start getting little clique groups that hang around together. But the kids at Sanford Grammar, we were just a family of kids. We all got along. You rarely ever saw anybody get into some serious trouble. I don't remember ever seeing anybody of my friends that got into trouble. I never got into trouble because I always knew the consequences at home. And that made you watch what you did. But they were just common kids, just simple, lived simple. We all went to church. We all, went to school. We all obeyed our parents. We had a great time. We used our imagination rather than computers and stuff like they do today. I mean, we were just common kids. I don't know how else to say it.
What kinds of things were on students' minds back then?
Well, we didn't think of anything like the kids of today think about, because we didn't think about politics or taxes or any of that kind of stuff. We just I don't know what you would say we thought about, because I really can't say that there was anything that we thought about other than making sure our homework was done, making sure we did our chores, making sure that we didn't do anything that ticked our parents off at us or the teachers. But I mean, we really didn't factor in outside things into our minds at that point in our life. It wasn't important. It didn't impact us. We went to school, we did what we were supposed to do, we went home, we did what we were supposed to do, and that's it. Nothing impacted us.
There was no events outside of your
Other than we
routine
went to church.
that affected your life?
That affected my life
At the time?
at
the
that
events
time.
happening?
You know, I can't think of a thing right now. Probably 100 things would come to me at another point, but right now I can't think of a thing that impacted or changed my life in any way while I was at Sanford Grammar, because it was just an enjoyable time. I mean, I had no problems in my life that made me have an impact on me. It was just good times.
And you weren't aware of anything else either?
Not outside of it, no. The town it was a great town. You could walk to school and not be afraid of anything. You didn't have to worry about it. Your parents didn't worry. On Saturdays, we'd walk to the movie theater and pay 9 to 10 cents to get in. Pay 10 cents for a drink and popcorn. But I mean, you could go to school and not have to worry about somebody messing with you or getting you going there. There was no problems at that period of time. You're talking about the early 50s. And it was just a beautiful time for children to grow up. And I was lucky to have lived in the time span that I did. I'm grateful.
You always felt safe?
I did. I always felt safe. And I never... My father's business was the corner of Sanford and Celery, and I don't know if you know where that's at, but there's a lot of a black neighborhood behind my father's business. 90% of my father's business was that. They were very nice to us. Sanford was never known for having that kind of problems, racial problems or anything like that. Sanford was a beautiful, quiet, peaceful, people got along, people respected each other kind of community. And that flowed over into the school system. You had teachers that were respectful, that did what they were supposed to, was hired to do. They taught the children. They made the children feel safe. I mean, it was the best time of life to grow up, because you didn't have what young people have today hanging over your head. It was just beautiful. I'm grateful for my years, from Southside to Sanford Grammar to middle school to high school. I had the best time of my life and never was afraid anywhere in Sanford. I loved it. I loved the school, other than doing that maypole. That was the one thing I didn't want to do. And that teacher was determined I was going to do it. And I did it. And I don't regret it, but I wish it was a memory I could help. Oh, no, I loved going to school. I loved going there. I never thought I would be the type person that would, into my adulthood, that would go back and work in the school system. But I did. And I don't know if that had, because I had such a good experience going through school, from all the schools I went to, the teachers that I had, if that's what influenced my life, I don't know. But I loved working with children. The teachers I had loved working with children. And Miss Sharon was one that I loved her. She was just so good at what she did. And if she was the one that influenced me, well, God bless her, because she did a good job. She did a good job. It was a good experience. I have no complaints about my school years.
Miss Sharon, did she teach a specific subject?
No, back then you learned everything in one room.
Okay.
She taught you math, the reading, everything was taught in one room. The only time that you ever went out anywhere was music or PE. And I don't remember us having a PE teacher. Miss Sharon was out on the class. I don't even remember who the other teacher was that I had. Now, isn't that awful? because she made such an impression on me, I couldn't get the other one to come into my mind. But we didn't have all the programs that they had, their teachers that they had. The one teacher you had, that was your homeroom school classroom, and that's where you went. And she taught you everything, and she had it set up at certain time slots. That's what you went into. You had a book for every subject. And we didn't have the we had homework, but not the homework. We didn't have to lug our books back and forth to school in a backpack. You were taught at school. And what little you had at home was, well, it's like making a book. I remember making a book. It's Sanford Grammar about my family. And I cut pictures out of magazines. And this is my mom, and this is my dad. Of course, they always look better than your mom and dad did, because you always tried to find, and when it came to finding one for you, you made sure you had a one that looked good. And then all my brothers and sisters, and I drew pictures of my house and all this kind of stuff. It's here somewhere. I don't know where, packed away somewhere. But I mean, you always, that's the kind of homework you had. It wasn't the kind of homework that the kids have today, all the math problems and all that stuff, because that was taught in school. And you didn't do that at home. Other things, other projects you did at home, like I did one on Florida. And I got a map, and I found pictures of alligators and all sorts of weird things, to put into it. But that was the kind of homework you had. It wasn't regular classroom. What you did in class, math, reading, you did in class. Now, you would have a book to read occasionally, and book reports due on it. But it was, most of the work was done in classroom, not at home, not like they do today. I'm glad.
Okay. What does it mean to you to be a Sanford Grammar alumnus?
What does it mean to me to be an alumni of Sanford Grammar School? It's a good thing. It's a proud thing. It was a good experience that I had there. I'm glad I went there. As I got older, I often wondered, why they broke our schools up like they did, because now they go, I think it's K through 5, but here we were broken up first through, we didn't have K, first through 4th, 5th and 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th at the high school. And it was just strange that they would break us up like that. Why, I don't know. But for me, going to Sanford Grammar School was a good experience, because, like I said, everything was so calm and good. And you were clumped with kids that your mentality was the same. 5th and 6th grade, that was the same age bracket. You stayed within that age group. You weren't put in. When I went to Sanford Middle School, it was such a change going from 6th grade, which I was still a little girl, to suddenly be pulled into junior high school, which they thought they were grown up. Probably I did too, but it was different because they think different. We were too old for the younger grades, the first through 4th grade, because to us those were babies. I mean, we're 5th and 6th. We go to Sanford Grammar. We're older. And then when you suddenly get 6th grade and you have to go to junior high school, you're scared because it changes again. I think it's a better way to go, because they put these children together in schools that their mentality's not the same. We were too old for these children, too young for these children. So we were in a good place. I had a great experience there because I was comfortable with the group I was with. We all thought alike. We all still wanted to play in our terms of play, and we were still little kids. So it was a good experience for me, and I'm glad I got to go to school the way I did. I feel sorry after working in the public schools and seeing how 5th graders are in school today with the younger kids. They're out of place. I realize money can't put them where they need to be, but it was better for me. And I think it made my education better, be going like that. And I'm glad I went to Sanford Grammar. It was a unique experience.
You mentioned earlier that you went to the school recently to look. Has it changed? What did it feel
Well, the
like?
lunchroom's gone. For one, basically, I hadn't been in the school maybe one time since I left there. And that's been years and years and years ago. It was deteriorating bad when I was there. I went back over with my daughter. I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to with Pam going around the museum, and I understand now it's open more, and I'm looking forward to getting to go. But the work that they've done is remarkable, and I hope that it can continue. Things like this need to be remembered. The children of today need to see that our way of life was not so wrong, that we had it a whole lot better than they do. Now, a lot of people wouldn't agree with that statement. That's sorry. This is my opinion, and I'm giving it. I liked the way schools were set up because I think the children got more one-on-one. I know I did. The school building, I'm proud to see it coming back. I'm proud that they didn't tear it down and lose it. We've lost so much in Sanford. People just are taking history and throwing it away. And it's sad. As you can tell, I have old pictures and stuff here in the house. I like history. And I like the fact that they're saving history in that building. All of Seminole County school systems are good. Putting things into that building to be saved. I mean, that's why I gave my seats to there, because I knew they would be saved. And the school system the kids could go there and learn what it was like. Learn what it was like to go to school in a small setting. And see how people survived in Central Florida. I haven't gotten a chance to go through it all the way, but I'm going. And I'm looking forward to going, and I'm glad they're doing it. And I'm glad to see UCF taking a part in it. And I think it's great what you kids are doing. I'm proud of it.
Thank you. So you mentioned that you guys never misbehaved, but there must have been times when students misbehaved.
Well, I'm sure there was some that were not as good as me. I'm sure of that. I can't honestly think of a time, because, of course, in my day, when I was coming up, my father always said to me, you get in trouble at school, you're going to get in trouble with me. My daddy was a big man. And I did not want to fight him. No way, shape, or form did I want to tussle with my dad. So I was programmed. And I had 3 siblings ahead of me. 2 brothers older and a sister older than I. My sister didn't go to school at Sanford Grammar because when we moved here, she was already farther up. But I had seen them get in trouble with Dad, and I wasn't going. There was no way I was going to be bad. Now, if there were some other classmates that got in trouble, I'm like the old monkey. I don't hear it, I don't see it, and I'm not going to speak about it because I don't remember any. I really don't. I was trying to remember the other day who the principal was, and I wish I had a list because I don't remember who the principal was. I remember Margaret Mitchell was at Southside, but I don't remember who was Sanford Grammar. That shows you how much I went to the office. I stayed out of there. And I had no reason to get in trouble. I guess I was classified as one of the good eggs because I stayed out of it. I don't remember anybody getting in trouble.
So you wouldn't know what happened when people misbehaved?
Well, it would be the paddle because that was part of the little punishment deal then, but I don't know of anybody that got it. Let me put it to you that way. It weren't me. But I don't know anybody that got it, but I know that the paddle was the form of punishment. 3 swats. But like I said, it never came my way. I stayed out of there.
What is the most valuable lesson you learned at Sanford Grammar?
Study. And that goes back to Miss Sharon again. Because if you did it right, you were rewarded. If it wasn't nothing but a gold star next to your name. And that meant a lot, that gold star. Simple little sticky star you stick in, that was it. That was like getting $1 million. Because you knew that you were on the good side of Miss Sharon. But study was the biggest thing. I didn't like to study. I didn't like school. That's why it always amazed me that I would go and work in the school system. I wanted to sit down, I wanted to read a book because I wanted to read it, not because she was going to tell me I had to read it. And so she made it where I wanted to study because she would reward me with nothing more than a pat on the back and tell me how proud she was of me, or give me that gold star. And as I progressed in school, I spent more time studying. I was never a great student, but I wasn't a bad student. I kept my grades as a nice, good level. I wasn't a brainiac, but I wasn't stupid either. But she taught me that, and I appreciate that for her, because she made me feel like if you learn this, it's going to make you better. And she was by far probably the most important teacher that ever touched my life, because she made me feel important. She made me feel like when I went to school, I was doing something right. And she just hung with me for the rest of my life. I mean, I appreciate what she made me learn, because it made high school, junior high school, everything easier, because she showed me how to study. And that's the best thing I brought out of that whole school system, is she showed me how to take it and apply it. And that was what was important to me after I left. She was a remarkable teacher. Remarkable.
Okay. Are there any other activities that you participated in that you remember?
We had our class programs that we did in the auditorium, which you always felt so good doing it. But I mean, we'd have do little plays and little things like that. But the only real thing that stuck into my head was that maypole. I mean, the other things were just common, everyday things that you would do, like you would have a Christmas program for your parents, and they would come and see you perform, and you would have little things at the end of the year that you would be given awards for what you'd done in school, and things like that. But they were just the common, everyday things that you did back then. Parents were involved more in coming to see their children doing things in the school. But that maypole, that was everybody. That was the whole community. I mean, there was I remember lots of people there, and I don't remember exactly why there were so many at that particular program, but it was all set up on that street out in front of where the school is now. And there were people, lots and lots and lots and lots of people. And it was more like a community thing rather than a school activity. I don't know what it was exactly, but I danced it. And there was a lot of people there. But other than the regular programs, no, we all did the things that we were told to do and enjoyed them, and never thought about ever having go to history like this. So, no, I can't think of anything other than what we did normally.
Okay, well, thank you. That's all I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I can't think of anything that is profound in my mind that other than the fact that I enjoyed Sanford. I enjoyed the school. I enjoyed the teachers. I am so grateful that my father moved us from Kansas and a farm to bring us to Sanford, and to have the experience that I've had living in Sanford and going to school in Sanford, and I don't classify myself as being nothing but a Southern girl. I mean, I got sand all the way up past my knees. I'm here and I'm a Southern girl, and I'm proud of it. And I went to school in Seminole County, and I'm proud of everything about that area. Other than that, I don't have anything to say. I'm just lucky. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
You're welcome, dear.